Hi everyone, and welcome back to my garden. So a very happy 2025 to everyone. So in today's video I thought I'm just going to do a whistle stop tour of all the different areas, all the different parts of my garden. It's not very big, so it won't take very long, but I'll show you each individual area that I plant out. So for anyone who's new to the channel, who's visiting my garden for the first time, a very warm welcome. And I hope that in today's video, you'll get some idea of how the different areas in my garden sort of all hang together. So I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and we'll have a wander through. This is the front of my house. These are the two front borders that I have. Everything is looking a bit sorry for itself because, as I say, up until yesterday we were -6 degrees. But then again, other plants are looking really healthy, such as this huge wallflower here, and all the geums. They really stand up to the cold temperatures. The oxeye daisies, these were still beautiful. Right up until I would say the first week in January, but they've suffered. More geum. Geum is really good, a really good hardy plant to have in your garden. So anyone new to the channel might be looking at my garden now and thinking, well, that looks a right mess. It looks incredibly flat and neglected. But that is by choice. Some gardeners tidy their gardens up in the autumn. They'll cut everything back down and everything's neat and tidy. But if you want wildlife in your garden, insects, then you really do need to leave the foliage, leave all the seed heads on. I don't know whether you can tell, all these little holes have been made by little finches. I saw them the other day. So this is Rudbeckia, but they've been eating the seeds. And that big sort of mess there, all those brown leaves, that is Crocosmia. Beautiful plant. If you want to see how lush this garden is throughout the year, just have a look back at some of my other videos. But this is Crocosmia lucifer, and I leave all of these leaves because ladybirds love to get into those leaves. They'll be right down at the base there. So I'm resisting the urge to, on this beautiful day, the first lovely day that we've had this year, it's nice and mild and sunny, and I'm resisting the urge to get in and just tidy everything up, because that would be completely pointless at this stage, because everything is still asleep and dormant. The plants are asleep, the insects are asleep, any little field mice might be in there with a nest. This is one of my favorite plants. This is the seed head of Amimagus, a beautiful big tall white frothy plant. And I think the seed heads have been picked clean on that. It's very sort of skeletal and majestic. And I can recognize in my garden, I can see all the Rudbeckia leaves are fine there. And surprisingly, the Alstroemeria leaves. It's just amazing when you come out here and it's like yesterday was thick ice, and you think, how do some of these evergreen plants survive? It is amazing. So this little area here is my woodland garden, which I created last year, and I created this, well, I made this little path through here. And a lovely lady called Karen, who lives in the same village as I do, gave me a lot of this. She saw that I was putting down this slate, and she was digging a lot of slate up out of her garden. So she got in touch with me and she said, if you want any, come and get it. So I think I filled 2 carfuls. So thank you, Karen. Happy New Year. So yes, this area here is always in sort of relative shade, this whole area here, because these trees here, these are lilac trees, beautiful lilac trees that spill over the front wall of the house. And I cut a lot of the lilac trees back that were sort of arching this way so that I could get through. Again, if you look in my playlist, there'll be videos on the creating the woodland garden, and that shows you what this garden was like before. This whole area here was just basically where I put overspill plants. You couldn't walk through it, so consequently it didn't get tended. This is a beautiful ornamental cherry tree that'll be out in the first few months of the year. This is a very tall, it's either Helenium or Rebecca, I'm not sure. And this is a frothy Michaelmas daisy. I do love walking around the garden when it's quite sparse like this, because you can sort of really see what plants you've got. Lovely Christmas rose in a tub there that didn't get planted out. And this is my lovely greenhouse. This, try not to swing the camera around too quickly. This area here, right along there, was completely overgrown with ivy. So I dug all that out. And now, again, it doesn't look much at this point, but these are all beautiful foxgloves. And they are Christmas roses, hellebore. And then if we come along here, got more hellebore, and you can see there are little primroses there. So I've just filled this area up with all sort of woodlandy plants that like to grow in the shade. I'm really hoping that this plant here survives. This is my beautiful white hydrangea that I transplanted from the white garden because he had just grown too big for the space, and I've popped him in here. So he should be fine. And then as we come round here, I would recommend, if you have a garden, getting out and taking a bit of footage. I just use my phone. If you don't want to take a video, take pictures of your garden at different stages. So I'm going to take footage of my garden at probably this time of each month, and then what I'll do is I'll sort of string them all together at the end of the year, or part way through the year, and speed it up, and we'll see how quickly the garden sort of springs back to life. It's also a good way of reminding yourself where you've planted things. So I've got a lovely big patch of pure white iris there. This gorgeous plant here with all the seed heads, this is a climbing hydrangea. Got wallflowers that are already coming out there, and these are antirrhinums. They look very, very straggly here, and what I'll do is, in a couple of months' time, I'll cut them off right at the bottom, because this is all new foliage. And it's only in the past few years that I've realised that antirrhinums come back year after year. I always used to treat them as just an annual and pull them out at the end of their flowering season. Again, all of this brown foliage here is Crocosmia lucifer. So, oh, we'll have a little look in the greenhouse. Right, the door is stuck because it's swollen. Oh, there we go. Right, Oh, it's lovely and warm in here. Right, some of the plants will look a bit limp, and that's because they've had extreme temperatures. It's been really cold, and that'll make them go limp. But these are all plants that I planted in the autumn. So I've got loads of this. This is Ammi Majus. This is Rudbeckia Solar Eclipse. Smells lovely in here as well. These plants here, this is White Honesty, because I also have a very small white garden, and I wanted plants with a lot of height. So, and I didn't even realize you could get White Honesty. These are snapdragons, and these little seedlings haven't had any water since probably December. Some of them are bone dry. Actually, they could probably do with a drink. Those ones there, these ones down here are fine. These are yellow wallflowers. I've got wallflowers up here. And then if we come out of the greenhouse and go around to the cold frames at the back, you can see I've got more wallflowers to go out there. That there will be white ones, and a lot of wallflowers in there as well. And the wallflowers, you'll see in a minute, the wallflowers that I've kept in the cold frames, I haven't even been shutting the lid. I've just left them open to the elements, but it's sort of given them some protection. They are so much further on than the wallflowers that I planted out last autumn. So then this is the main garden. That's my miscanthus. And I'm always so pleased that I have left the seed heads, because if this was completely flat, I would forget where things were. So I hope this one comes back. This was a very beautiful Rudbeckia that I bought last year. I sort of did this area out here. We've got Monarda heads in here. That's a lovely plant. And then every so often you get a lovely little surprise like this. These are aconites, winter aconites. Aren't they lovely? Can you think, how do you survive such freezing cold temperatures? Not even sure what this plant is. Oh yes, I am sure it's phlox. That's good. And there's bulbs coming up all over the place. All of these pots here at the back are full of my bulbs, different bulbs, and plants that had sort of finished flowering. And all the plants in front of those pots are really big and tall and bushy, so you couldn't see any of those spent pots at the end of last year. We'll go in, I'll show you. I've labelled them all, because if you don't label them, you would just see a pot of earth and you wouldn't know what on earth they were. So hostas. I did mention the white acrylic pens that I use to use on my labels. So look at that. That has been out since, I think I must have shot that video on putting where do you put your spent pots. I think that must have been last October. And that writing has withstood all of the elements and is still, it looks like I've just written it today. So that's really good. What's in here? Take that off there, because bulbs will be coming up. Right, now this is new. So this area here, this big stump, we had a massive field maple here. He was as tall as the house. He was massive. He went right the way up here, but he was also very close to the house, and two huge branches came down. Luckily they didn't fall on my husband's car, but we got a tree surgeon out. I said it was unbalanced now, the tree. We get all of the wind and elements coming in. Oh, the sun's glaring there. Anyway, behind us here are just fields. We are really exposed in this garden. We get all the wind, and we just made the decision, thought, right, it's not worth worrying for the next year whether this tree was going to come down, so we had it taken down. But I have got other large trees in the garden. We've got a beautiful rowan tree there, and I've already shown you the big ornamental cherry tree, and then I've got all the lilac trees. So this is the area under my kitchen window. And one thing that I may do whilst it's like this is I could take some of the leaves away. Oh, and look what happens when you do. Look at all these bulbs. So yes, I think probably tomorrow, the next day, I'll come out and I'll just take some of these leaves, which are acting as a mulch, but they're also covering up all of the bulbs. If I didn't do anything with them, the bulbs would still come up, but yeah, they'll be lovely and green. Well, sunlight will get through to them. And again, all of these little things were underneath that tree, and the tree surgeon said, oh, I've just plunked all of the bits and pieces in your borders, nest boxes and things like that. He took them all down before he chopped the tree down, but some of them have been plunked on top of the bulbs. This is a lovely job to do, just going around and covering all the bulbs that are coming up in your garden. So that's a lovely patch there. I love the way they grow up through the leaves. Look at that. Right, and then this little area at the top of my drive in front of the garage, this is all evergreen. These Nandinas, I would recommend these to anybody. They're just so tough and hardy, but interesting, and they really give some nice structure throughout the winter. You know, he's sort of, his growth is restricted because he's in a pot there, but if he was in a garden, he would grow quite large. So yeah, everything's just sleeping. And then I'm really looking forward to painting these again this year. This has been my Christmas wreath hanging on here, and it's obviously swung in the storms and taking the paint off. But yeah, I'll give all my fences a lick of paint, but not for a while. Oh, wouldn't you know, we've locked the gate from the inside. So this is my little courtyard at the back of my house. This is always in almost total shade, so I grow lots of hostas and acers and heucheras, and lots of ferns, which I've split most of them this year because they'd outgrown their pot. I'll put a picture in of what this usually looks like. So this is very beautiful, but there's not much needs doing in here. It's still quite tidy. Oh, that's a nice little hellebore there coming up. And then this area here is a newly developed white garden. You can have a look in the white garden section to see what this has looked like last year. And I've been very pleased with it. This area here is where I dug that huge hydrangea out of. It just took this whole space up. Oh my goodness, look at all the bulbs. So every bulb that's planted in this garden now should be white. And these are the wallflowers that I was telling you I planted out in the garden last autumn. I've grown them from seed, but these have been exposed to the elements. I'm not worried though. Wallflowers are really hardy and they will bush out and catch up to the others. And these wallflowers are all white again. I didn't even realize you could get white wallflowers. This is the most beautiful hellebore. It's a lovely deep pink one, which I should have dug him out and put in the other garden, didn't get round to it, but I'm not going to move him now, so I'll let him flower and then I'll definitely move him into the big garden. This is the white wallflower that my sister Shirley bought me, so I'll just cut him right back a few weeks time and he'll flower again. Lots of dead ferns there. So yes, pretty much the same story as the other garden, like everything just dormant. And I'm very happy about that. It needs a good long rest. I'm very excited to see what happens in this white garden this year. These Carex that I put in, they're just foliage grass, but they've done really well, surprisingly well. Really pleased with them too. So that is it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that little tour, and weather permitting, I hope you're managing to get out in your garden and just treat yourself to a little wander through, maybe with a cup of tea or something. And it's very exciting just to see what is actually springing back to life now. And I bet you're like me, itching to get in and tidy up, but I mustn't. Not until about, I would say, end of March. And then I think all the insects will have woken up by then, and I can have a really good clear up. So do come back and visit again, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye.